Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Ervin-Kassab from the Teacher Education Department at San Jose State University in San Jose, California. And this quick video is about making space for social and emotional support in online teaching environments. So one of the first things we need to think about is the fact that when you are in an online environment, and especially right now with the current global crisis that's happening, social and emotional support for our students is absolutely essential. Students, fellow teachers, families, all of us right now really need some reassurance. There are many of us who are currently sheltering in place, and when we are sheltering in place, we need a place to be social with classmates, with friends, with teachers, and the place we can do that right now is online. We still need a place to share ideas. We're social creatures as human beings, and most importantly, we need a safe place. So when we're going online, we need to think about how we are creating a space where all of our students feel welcome, all of our students feel like they're part of something, and that all of our students are feeling safe. So what you'll see on this particular slide is the CASEL framework for social emotional learning. And this is something that I go into in more detail within my podcast on what is social emotional learning. But when we take a look at what these things are the things we want to foster in our students, things like self-awareness, self-management, social and relationship skills, social awareness, responsible decision-making. And when we think about all those things and we think about online teaching, none of those things can happen when students are sitting and simply listening to a lecture. So the podcast you're experiencing right now is actually not the best at activating your own social and emotional learning skills. What does work well for activating those skills and providing space for those skills to develop are discussion boards, conferencing, using collaborative writing tools, and to communicate with parents and families using social media. I am going to put a big caveat here that you do not want to use social media with students who are under the age of 13, and you'll want to use it very carefully with students who are over the age of 13. We'll talk about that more towards the end of this presentation. So first things first, when you're looking at using any of these interactive and engaging tool spaces, you want to communicate first with parents, families, about what it is you're planning on doing. Right now, as educators, it's not just our responsibility to help our students understand the differences in teaching styles that are going to happen as we transition to online, but we also need to help bring parents, families, and communities along with us. Include information about whatever tools you're using, include tutorial videos so parents can see and expect what it is that their students are going to experience when they go into these arenas. And also make sure you're considering alternatives for those who don't wish for their own children to use a particular app or tool. Right now we have very much got a tequity situation happening here in the United States where not all of our students have access to devices and not all of our parents or families want their children to be going onto online spaces. Every single time you use a tool, it doesn't matter if you've gone over norms in a previous session. It doesn't matter if you've gone over norms for a different tool 10 minutes ago. Every single time you go into a new tool, you're taking your students into a new environment. So even if they're the same norms, you want to reset those norms when you enter the new environment or tool so your students remember how they're supposed to behave and have an idea and a clear understanding of that behavior for each tool or environment. I found that a great resource is Common Sense Media. They have some wonderful things for different age students on digital citizenship. And especially when we're in an environment online, those social skills, those awareness skills, those self-regulating skills are all components of being a good digital citizen. So I strongly recommend you spend some time with your students just learning about what it means to behave and how to behave online. So let's dive in. When we're using discussion boards, here are some tips for using discussion boards in ways that can help foster social and emotional learning. Um, if you have a learning management system like Schoology or Canvas or Blackboard, and you have the ability to create separate discussion boards, create some discussion boards on broad topics. Think about the big ideas in the class that you're teaching and just post up places where students can pose questions to one another, where they can share insights with one another. But also make sure you're creating a couple of discussion boards for purely social, for connecting, for sharing ideas on what to do if you're stuck at home. Make some space in there for the social. Include posting guidelines at the beginning of every discussion board. Similarly to taking students into different environments and different tools, you want to make sure students know what the rules, quote unquote, are for posting in a given discussion board, and also communicate to them a mechanism for removing posts. You do not want your students to be able to remove posts from other people. That is an area that can lead to cyberbullying. You do want to, though, have a mechanism in place where they can notify you immediately and you can go in and take down any posts that are not appropriate. And again, the Common Sense Media Digital Citizenship and Safety has some really good tutorials. Be sure when you're using discussion boards that you enable threaded replies or allow students to reply, allow students to comment so that one conversational thread can continue and you won't have to read through everybody's. It's the difference between a discussion board and a chat. Is in a discussion board you can get a nice flow of a conversation. In a lot of chats, sometimes people just post to the whole chat room and it gets confusing to try and find your answer to your questions. Also, take some time with a non-academic topic and let students learn how to navigate the discussion board. Let them learn how to post, how to put up a picture if they want to put up a picture. Just give them time to play around with the tool. So speaking of giving time to play around with the tool, if you want to, in just a second, pause the video, I have a Padlet set up that you can use as a discussion space. And this is a Padlet question on sharing resources and ideas for helping new teachers think about social and emotional learning. There are a bunch of resources on there already. You can use the QR code here on this slide. At the bottom of the slide is a link. And please feel free to share any resources, ideas, or questions that you may have about preparing educators to attend to SEL. Keep your question, comment, or link suitable for work, and please explore the resource. And if you'll pause your video now and go play, then come back.